BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series. Our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team in our August 20th preseason preview here at BigCountryPreps.com. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we'll be talking about a team that for a decade now or more has been on one of the most remarkable runs of any team in the area, the Hawley Bearcats.
Yeah, a program that's been about as consistent as anybody under Coach Mitch Abels, who we have been raving about for years. This guy has just done a miraculous job with that program. The 10-2 again last year. It's going to be interesting though this year. This is a team that they did lose some really key players, some guys who have been a big part of this most recent run, including the state championship run a couple of years ago. They do have 18 of 30 Letterman back, 6 offensive, 5 different defensive starters, but have lost some really key players. So I think it's gonna be a really fun year in Hawley just to see how they handle some pretty significant graduation losses. So they're gonna have some questions to answer, and we'll talk about those here in just a few minutes. But interesting times in Hawley, Texas.
All right, before we start speaking about the Bearcats, we need to remind you folks to please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, hit that little bell, and you'll get notifications each and every time that we come up with a new video. And don't forget, that's free. So please hit that subscribe button and the little bell. All right, and with that, it is time to dive into the Hawley Bearcats. We've got some key questions to ask about them coming up about this season. All right, Dan, fire away. What's your first question?
I think the first one that jumps off the page to me anyway, is for the first time in a long time, Hawley's going to have a new quarterback. Keegan Abels, Coach Mitch Abels' son, did such a tremendous job as their quarterback the last several years. A kid who was just as dependable as they come, both throwing and running the football. A kid who was basically a second coach on the field. He's gone. I mean, he threw every pass that Hawley had last year. So they're going to be starting a quarterback this year who has never thrown a varsity pass, most likely. So it's my question is who's going to be that guy? Who's going to take over that role, and kind of what impact are they going to be able to make in an offense that has had really kind of been molded around Keegan the last several years? So I'm really interested to see what that position looks like for this team, because I think they've got some weapons. You look at Camden Abels, Coach Abels' other son, who had over 1,400 receiving yards last year, a tremendous wide receiver, tight end type. And they've got several others, some guys who have done some nice things. Aiden Romo's another receiver, a really explosive kid. But that quarterback position is a big one, obviously, particularly in an offense as sophisticated as what Hawley runs. What's that position going to look like this year for him?
All right, I guess my question would be, could this be a rebuilding year for Hawley? They've lost half their starters. They've lost 12 Letterman. They have 18 Letterman coming back, but they need to replace their quarterback. So my question is this finally the year that we see Hawley maybe stepping back a little bit, rebuilding, and then moving back ahead again? It's difficult to envision that under Mitch Abels with all the success he's had. And every time I thought they might be rebuilding, he's proven me wrong. So nothing would surprise me. But that's my question. Uh, is this the year that they might take a little step back and rebuild a bit? We'll see. They do have some challenges.
Yeah, and you're talking about all the Letterman that they lost. They're going to rely on call-ups from a 5-4 JV team. So there are some signs that that could be the case. Which leads into my third question. I think if they're going to avoid a rebuilding situation, I think it will be largely on the backs of a pretty good experienced line group on both sides of the football. On defense, you got Camden Abels. You've got Hunter Hudson, a couple of kids who are big time defensive ends, playmakers on both edges. And then on the offensive line, you got Bodie Trojak, Bo White, a couple of kids who have played a lot of football up front for them. So I think this, when you're talking about having a new quarterback, you're talking about a leading rusher with less than 100 yards returning. You're going to have to find some skill guys. I think in that situation, it's going to be those big boys up front that are leading the way, and that's been the pride of their program for a long time, has been that weight program, has been those big guys. They're going to have to be strong this year. Are they up to that challenge?
All right. And with that, we're going to be taking a look at Holly's schedule for 2025. But before we do that, we need to thank some of our sponsors, beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM, KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, call Rob. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254 559 2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Cavalry Resources and Construction, located up in Breckenridge, serving the entire big country, offering custom standing seam roofing made on location and all commercial roofing applications. Give Kobe Walker a shout at 254 246 5546. That is Cavalry Resources and Construction in Breckenridge. All right, and with that, it's time to take a look at Hawley's schedule for 2005, and we'll begin in the non-district portion. They will lead off with a home date against Roscoe on the 29th of August. A difficult road date at Albany will follow on September the 5th, followed by two more road dates at Merkel on the 12th and De Leon on the 19th. And then they will finally return home to face the Eastland Mavericks on September the 26th before diving into the open date.
And then they come right out of that open date with a big home game at home against Anson on October 10th. They follow that with a road trip to Olney on the 17th of October. Come back home to play Cisco on the 24th. Host Abilene TLCA on Halloween. And then host Stamford for what is always a big game on November 7th. So this is a fun district. We talked about it with each of the other teams in this league that we've talked about. It's going to be a really fun one for Hawley too. This is a good tough district slate.
All right. The game of the year for Holly, I see two of them. Even though Holly might be quote unquote rebuilding, they're still going to challenge for a district championship. They might rebuild, but I feel they'll be good enough to challenge. And if that's the case, Cisco and Stanford are going to be must wins. If they want to win the district championship, Cisco and Stanford just stick out like a sore thumb for the
Yeah, I
for the Bearcats.
I agree. I think those are two huge games. I also think that Anson game right off the bat, that home game against Anson on the 10th of October, that's a big one too. We're going to find out exactly how good Hawley is in that district opener because I think Anson's got a chance to be pretty good this year as well. So I think those four teams we just talked about are your playoff teams in this district. It's just going to be a matter of seeding. But yeah, those are three big games for each of those three teams. You're talking about a lot of big, exciting football games that are going to draw a lot of attention. But I think you're right. I think the Cisco, Stanford, and then I would add the Anson game. All three of those are going to be big for them.
All right, well, that's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Holly Bearcats. Before we do that, we want to remind you that on August 20th, that's the big day. That's the preseason preview that we will be releasing with everything you're going to want. It's the most comprehensive look at big country area football of any media source.
In the meantime, we appreciate you joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow and we take a look at the Stanford Bulldogs here at BigCountryPreps.com.